Welcome to the Bedhead Producer. I'm just flying around here over the Korg Electribe app. Today we're going to show you how to use this app, and then we're going to show you an example of an original song we created. Woo! All that flying around up there gave me gas. So in the meantime, I'm gonna go get rid of some of this gas. Okay, have fun. Hey, aren't you gone yet? I'm trying to sleep over here.
Hi and welcome to today's episode 3 of the Bedhead Producer, where we will show you the brand new Korg Groove Box, the Electribe Wave, for iPad and explain how to use it. At first glance it may seem complicated, but after watching this episode, it will be simple and enjoyable to use. If you like this tutorial, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing. This is the main page. Here we see one sound out of 8 possible tracks for sound, not including the 8 slots for drum instruments. Essentially this Electribe has 2 main elements of sound: the synthesizer and the drums. On the second to bottom row, we see the track selection area. When synth is selected, the buttons all start with an S. When the drums are selected, the buttons all start with a D. Notice that we are in pattern mode, and then we can click on the browser button up top and browse through patterns. First hit play on the transport and then select a pattern to preview. Each pattern can be a different length, but a pattern will finish playing before you will hear the next pattern you have selected. Banks A through E are the factory presets, with 16 presets per bank. In song mode, these patterns can be chained together in any order with any amount of repetition you choose. Now go to the button up top to the left of the browser and select Song Mode. A new window will open. Press on the load button and you will see a song list come up on the left. The factory demo songs are on the top and then many empty user slots are below that. Go ahead and open a demo song and then you can switch to the mixer page and play around with those settings. The left side of the mixer has 8 blue channels that represent the instrument section, and the right side with the red and violet faders represents the drums, where the kick and the snare and the other instruments can be adjusted to your taste. Notice how some of the channels are muted. Try unmuting them to perform DJ techniques, playing live variations while the song plays. Select a synth track by pressing on the S1 through 8 buttons and then open the Cows pad on the top left and select a function like filter and swipe around on the touch screen to hear the effect on the track. Morph and create live changes in the mix. When you are ready, open another demo song and try selecting different sounds and manipulating them and see if anything feels intuitive. You cannot mess anything up. Any settings you change will be reset when you open another song or even the same one. As tracks are unmuted by you during the song play, you can hear how things get fuller at times, so it's best to not have too much going on for too long, but rather a tension builder, and then muting them makes the mix less chaotic and gives the listener's ears a release from the tension. Tension and release are important tools that can create great contrasts between sections. Too much tension and most ears will quickly get tired. The demo songs only use banks A through C. This means all the patterns in bank D and E are there to demonstrate different styles and sounds that can be used. Note that whatever tempo you start in, all the patterns you preview will play at this tempo even though they were not all recorded at the same tempo initially. In the bottom right-hand corner of the square that displays a pattern's name and bank, you can see what the original tempo is, and on the top left of the pattern browser page you can see the current tempo. To change it, swipe up or down on the touch screen or tap a new tempo with the tap button. Now let's take a look at creating your own patterns and choosing and editing sounds. First, let's choose an existing pattern whose sounds might work for a song we would like to compose and erase all the MIDI notes so that all that remains are the sounds. First, audition the existing demo patterns, choose a pattern whose sounds you like and then save it to an empty user slot. When you hit the Save button and choose a destination, a dialog will pop up allowing you to rename the pattern, then hit the X in the top left corner and choose the Utility tab. Here you will see which instruments have data recorded and the bar where the data exists. To erase all of an instrument in all bars, click the top header. S1 for instance will highlight all the data for the instrument in the first slot and also on the first mixer fader. Then hit clear and repeat with other instruments. I'm going to borrow the drums from this intro pattern and delete most of the instruments and play something of my own. Make sure to resave your pattern after any changes, whether deleting or adding to the pattern, otherwise those changes will be lost when you select another pattern. I decided to make a house song, so I used a pattern from the fourth demo song, Harmonic Business, and pattern B5. I selected B5 and then hit save and went up to the F bank. This is the first bank of empty patterns. Then I opened up the utility page and cleared out all the MIDI. Now I'm going to record a whole new pattern using this instrumentation. There are two ways to record parts into Electribe. One is to use an external hardware keyboard, or any on-screen keyboard from one of your synths that sends MIDI, or even the on-screen keyboard in Electribe. The other way is called step input. If you are not familiar with the concept, there are many tutorials online that explain how to step record. I'm going to step write the drums and enter musical notes for different sounds using the keyboard and the record button on the transport. Listen to the pattern and instrumentation before I erased all the notes and after I entered new notes but used the same sounds. The pattern browser lets you choose how many bars a pattern will have, up to 8 bars. You can also select the tempo there, and you can add patterns to a song you have loaded up from that page as well. You can also chain your patterns together in the song browser page, but the latter is the only place you can remove patterns from your song. Change to song mode with the button to the left of the browser tab. Then hit load and go down to 8 or 9 and you will see empty user songs. Select an empty song and it will automatically load. In the top right corner there is a plus sign. If you tap it, a menu will open up a list of all patterns that are stored. Select the beginning of your song, like maybe an intro, and you can hit play and preview your song and patterns. Repeat this step here, if you already know the order of all the patterns in your song. An easier way to listen and add patterns that way as you go, can be done now from the pattern browser instead. First let's make sure to save your work often. If you close the program or it crashes, or if you load another song without first saving, all will be lost since the last time you saved. pattern that each sound different because certain parts are muted. In dance music it is very common to add more layers and build the thickness of a track by adding a new element or part every 8 bars. So in order to save space and not have to make a new pattern for every variation, they have a mute section right in the song editor, so you can use multiple instances of one pattern that each sound different because certain parts are muted. This is also handy for performing live as it allows you to unmute tracks in the mixer while a song is playing, so a song is never the same twice because you the performer decide when and in what order to unmute tracks. You can also transpose patterns in song mode so you don't have to save a new pattern if you want to play the same pattern in a different key, as a key change in your song. You can also use insert a pattern in the middle of a song. When you add a pattern it will always append to the end of your pattern list, but by tapping Edit in the top right corner, you can then push, hold and drag the pattern into place where you would like it. Okay, now we are going to talk about choosing sounds, creating patterns, and one of the Electribe's biggest strengths, automation and sound quality. For a professional musician, especially someone who records a lot of audio as well as MIDI, pattern-based recording is not ideal. However, the sound quality is so good and the instruments are often so well EQ'd, that right out of the app it sounds amazing coming through my stock car stereo. In fact, it thumps. Normally I wouldn't write a whole song on any one piece of gear, software or plugin. In this case, I wanted to see what this baby could do and I was seriously impressed. So here is tip number 1. I'm going to show you how to save any part or synth sound you hear in a pattern or create from scratch, as presets. From the Page Selection tab at the top of the screen, tap Sound. The Synth Edit screen will be displayed. Make sure Synth is selected below, instead of Drum, and then pick one of the 8 parts S1 through S8. These part buttons and numbers match the left side of the mixer page. Let us say you want to edit channel 1, you then press S1, go to the mixer page by tapping the Mixer tab and make sure the corresponding mixer channel is not muted or turned down. Then go back to the Sound tab and tap the Program button above. This opens a black drop-down menu that has a handful of synth presets and also an empty user bank you can save to. If you have opened a demo pattern that comes with Electribe and you want to use, for instance, the bass sound in one of your patterns, you must figure out what track the bass is on, highlight the button, like S3, and then save it as a preset in the program list. I will demonstrate. First I will audition some patterns to find some sounds I like. I am using Electribe's built-in keyboard, but one must open the Scale tab to pick the key and scale if data is to be recorded using Korg's on-screen keyboard. I have found an arpeggio sound I like and will save it, also a traditional breakdown whoosh and what sounds to me like a cello with lots of reverb on it. Then I will save this pattern to an empty slot and assign the new sounds to mixer channels. Then I will do a quick recording, record some real-time automation, tweak the sound with the modulation section, and lastly I will clear some automation of knobs using the clear button. Okay, by now you get the idea. Every twist of a knob or action you take can be recorded, simply by hitting the record button first. You can even record patch changes, so you can choose a delay on one track, then a reverb, then a talkbox effect, and if the record button is enabled, Electribe will reproduce those actions and even loop them if you are looping one pattern over and over. To clear automation, simply hit clear on the upper right and then tap on any knob or button and you will be asked if you are sure you want to clear the automation data. Haven't covered the sequencer tab in this tutorial, but if you click on the letter I for info in the top left you can open up the user manual and look up specific functions I haven't mentioned yet, but now you know most of what you need to get started. The manual will make a whole lot more sense now. I will leave a link below to Electribe on the App Store, as well as a SoundCloud link to the first song I've created using only Electribe Wave. You can hear that I used lots of automation. After this I will most likely import it into a recording program and add some guitar, maybe some vocals, but I will post the results for you either way. If you found this tutorial and demonstration helpful, please consider subscribing or giving the video a thumbs up. Also, the Sound Test Room has also done a video on the Electribe Wave, so I suggest going there and watching it to see what Doug has covered that I may not. If it wasn't for the Sound Test Room I wouldn't have even known this software just came out. I'm a big fan, even though I'm also trying to add my own 2 cents. Thanks for watching, take care.